Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate to have amongst us His Grace Keshav Prabhu. Hari Bo. So Prabhuji was introduced to Krishna consciousness in the year 1994 while studying his medical degree. And finally in 1999, Prabhuji joined full-time in ISKCON. And he has conducted in-depth research in the fields of science and spirituality under the guidance of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhaktivikas Swami Maharaj. And Prabhuji has written a number of books and given many seminars in colleges all over the world. And in order to demonstrate how to live a contented and happy life in harmony with nature, Prabhuji has launched a farm community project. It's named Badrikashram Farm Community in Rajpura, Punjab. And Prabhuji has written several books. Some of them are Guru Kaun, Cheaters and Cheated Yoga. So we are very fortunate to have Prabhuji amongst us. Let us heartily welcome Prabhuji by once loudly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Okay, thank you. We'll start now. That is too much. कितना टाइम हो रहा है क्या? चलो मैं बोलता हूँ. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading chapter 28, text 1. Shri Narado Vacha. कहीं लिखा है क्या? यहाँ ये रहा। सैनिका भय नामनो ये बर्हिष्मन्दिष्ट कारणः प्रज्वार काल कन्याभ्याम विचेरुर अवनीम इमाम. Narado Vacha. The great sage Narad continued to speak. Sainikaha, the soldiers. Bhaya namnaha, of bhai, fear. Ye, all of them who. Barhishman, O King Prachin Bharishat. Dishtakarinaha, the order carriers of death. Prajvara, with Prajvara. Kalakanyabhyam, with Kalakanya. Prajvara. Vicheruhu, traveled. Avanim, on earth. Imam, this. So, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage continued, the great sage Narad continued, my dear King Prachin Bharishat. Afterwards, the king of Yavan, whose name is fear itself, as well as Prajwar, Jwar. This is Prajwar. Kal Kanya and his soldiers began to travel all over the world. Purport. The period of life just prior to death is certainly very dangerous because usually at this time people are attacked by weakness of old age as well as many kinds of diseases. The disease that attacks the body are compared here to soldiers. These soldiers are not ordinary soldiers, for they are guided by King of Yavan, who acts as their commander-in-chief. The word Dishta Karana indicates that he is their commander. When a man is young, he does not care for old age, but enjoys sex to the best of his satisfaction, not knowing that at the end of his life, sexual indulgence will bring on various diseases, which so much disturb the body that one will pray for immediate death. The more one enjoys sex during youth, the more he suffers in the old age. Okay? No problem. ठीक है, शुरू करो. So, Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharnir Visheshunyavadi Paschadishtarne. Srila Prabhupada ki. So this, I think Devarshi Narad, he is telling an allegorical story to Prachin Bharishat. It's a story he is telling to Prachin Bharishat. And the names here, what he is using, are symbolical. Am I? That's what is happening. Just to convey some message to him. Generally in Bhagavatam, there are many stories. This is Puran. There's a difference between Vedas, Upanishads and Puranas. Message is same, principle is same, but the method of delivery is different. Although Mayavadis will not accept this. According to Mayavadis, the message of Vedas and Upanishads is far superior than Puranas. They don't accept. For them, Vedas are up, Puranas are down. But according to Vaishnavas, um, Pancham Vedam Chauchyate, Puranas are fifth Vedas. And among Puran, Bhagavatam is the topmost Puran. We know that, no? From Bhagavad Sandhar, Jiva Goswami has absolutely proved it. So, one of the meaning of Puranas is, Puranas, what do you mean by Puran? In English, Puran might be translated as history. Puran, old. But that's not the meaning. Madhvacharya, he comments on this word Puran and he says, Puran means Purna iti Puranaha. Anything which completes the message, that is Puran. So the message, Puran, what it does is, it conveys the same message and principle of Vedas, but in a different method. Delivery of method is stories. If you read Vedas and Upanishads, delivery of method is just codes. For example, in Vedas it will be said, Satyam Vada, speak truth. But in Puranas, they will give, okay fine, you have to speak truth, we will give you an example of speaking truth. For example, Harishchandra, which comes in Bhagavatam. Or Vedas might say, Tapsam Kuru, do tapasya. Okay, Bhagavatam says, okay, we'll give you example, Nar Narayan Rishi, Priyavrat, like that. So Puranas give message through stories. Sukadeva Goswami says in 12th canto that Parikshit, I have told you many stories in Bhagavatam. The sequence of stories doesn't matter. Even the stories itself doesn't matter. What matters is the message behind the stories. That's more important. Except the stories which are related to Krishna. That matters to us, no? Janma karma cha me divyam evam veti tatvata. That's the point. So, this is, in Puranas, the stories are divided into two parts. There are two different types of stories in Puranas. One is real life stories, which is, Dhruv, Priyavrat. There are so many stories we have. Another is allegorical stories, which is what is happening here. Narad Muni makes up a story to convey a message to Prashin Bhareshwar because he's not ready to understand any other thing. So he doesn't want to tell him directly. He tells, okay, let me tell you one story. Another is allegorical story. So stories are divided into two parts in Puranas. So if you see Vishnu Puran, if you see Vaman Puran, you will find many stories which are not real lifetime stories, which are made up by the speaker to convey a message. This is one of the story which is made up by Devarshi Narad to convey a message to Prashin Bhareshwar. So that is this, what is happening. Puranjana story. This is what is happening. Puranjana. Puranjana is a fictitious character. He's made up a story to tell him the message, and afterwards Prashin Bhareshwar will ask Devarshi Narad, what do you mean by this story? Then Devarshi Narad will decode it. Okay, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. This is what I was trying to tell you. Puranjan is no person. Puranjan is soul, which is very old, eternal. You see, he does like that. So there are two types of stories in Puranas. There's another type of story in Purana. One is real lifetime, one is allegorical. Another type of story in Purana is, let's put it like this. Those are stories, but from different kalpa. You see, so in Puranas we'll find kalpa bhed stories. It might not be necessarily be happening in this period. It might be happening in different periods of time. For example, we see Varhadev. We find two incidences of Varhadev in Srimad Bhagavatam from different manmantras. I think from Chakshuksh manmantra 1 and from another manmantra, I forgot. There is a white Varaha and another one is Rakta Varaha, red. So from different kalpas, speaker picks up many stories, and that's why you see Puranas, you see Mahapuran or any other Puran. Puranas will have stories which will have no chronological sequence. So three types of stories, isn't it? One story is real lifetime, another is allegorical, fictitious, another is kalpabhet stories. There's another type of story which is chronological story of one particular dynasty or person, which we don't call it as Purana, we call it as Itihas, which is Mahabharat Ramayana, which is related to story of one dynasty, Surya Kul or Chandravansh, Surya Vansh, but that story is of particular kings, of particular generation, of particular time, particular people. So Ramayana is talking about Ram, Dashrath, Surya Vansh, that particular time, Treta. Mahabharata is talking about Krishna and Pandavas, isn't it? So there is another type of story, Itihasa. These kind of Puranas are called Itihas, which is restricted to one particular Vamsha. Puranas are not restricted to one particular Vamsha. They are random. So Itihasa and Purana go together. They go together. And in fact, if you want to understand Vedas, then what happens is, nobody can understand Vedas without Purana and Itihasa. It's impossible. Both are required. And that is why we have this very nice verse from Rupa Goswami. What's that? Anybody knows? Very famous verse. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Panchratrikim Vidhim Vina Ekantikim Hari Bhaktir Utpateve Kalpate. Very nice verse. In fact, Jnanis and Dhyanis will never accept this. They will just fight over this. But Rupa Goswami wrote this verse. Shruti Smriti Puranadi. Shruti means Vedas. Smriti means what? Smriti means Dharma Shastras. Although in general sense, if you go in scholarly circles, Puranas will also be called as Smriti. Smriti means remembrance. Smriti means remembrance, no? So Puranas are what? Speaker is trying to remember the stories and tell you. Isn't it? And what are Dharma Shastras? Dharma Shastras are code of conducts. Achar, Vyavhar and Prayaschit. Dharma Shastras are three things. Achar, personal conduct, Vyavhar, social conduct, and Prayaschit means if you make a mistake, you have to do some penance. So Dharma Shastras are also code of conducts which the speaker remembers in his mind and speaks. So generally Smriti, if you go outside in scholarly circles, they will include Puranas and Dharma Shastras in Smritis. It's commonly used. But in general, when you tell Smritis, it is Dharma Shastras. So how many Smritis we have? Today we have 32 Smritis. We have 32 extant Smritis we have. Other Smritis are extinct. The major Smriti, what Prabhupada says is, what is Manu Smriti, isn't it? These Smritis are sometimes called as Samhitas also. Manu Samhita. Samhita is also a very general term. Samhita means collection of chapters, collection of books. It's called Samhita. So Manu Samhita also we tell you. Or you can say Gerhand Samhita. Gerhand Samhita is a book of yogas. So yoga book is also called Samhita. Dharma book is also called Samhita sometimes. Vedas, we have a particular section, Samhita. You see Brahmanas, Aranakya, Samhitas, Upanishads. Samhitas are basically Samhit. Samhita means a collection of chapters which will do your welfare. Hita means benefit, that's all. But technically, Samhita's word is just restricted. If you ask technically what's that, technically Samhita word is restricted to a portion of Vedas. That's how it goes. So what Rupa Goswami says, Shruti Vedas, Smriti Dharma Shastras, 32 Dharma Shastras are there, Manu Smriti. Main what for us, if you go to Sri Sampradaya, for them the main Smriti is, one of the main Smriti what they follow is Parashar Smriti. You ask them, because it's for Kali Yuga. If you go to Vallabh Sampradaya, they don't have sannyasis. You know that? They don't have sannyasis. Sannyasis Varjit. All of Vallabh Sampradaya people, they are married, Goswamis. For them, the main Smriti is Shandilya Smriti. Because Shandela Smriti talks about how a householder Paramahamsa have to act. So in Vallabh Sampradaya, they're all Goswamis and they're all Paramahamsas. So, and then there is, if you go to Madhva Sampradaya, for them there are other Smritis like Vishwamitra Smriti, Ashvalayan Smriti. There are many Smritis like that. So, all these Smritis are Dharma Shastras. Okay, that is Shruti Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatrikim. Pancharatri refers to deity worship. Vidhim vina ekantik Hare Bhakti Utpate Kalpate. So if you want to understand Hari and his Bhakti, you need 4 things, not 1. 4 different directions are required to actually fully surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, we will not be able to surrender to Krishna. Utpadeve kalpate, it will be simply be a chaos. So what you need? You need Vedas. Vedas means principles, how to live and how to devote to God. Puranas means Shruti Smriti. Smriti means Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastras means principles to live in society. Vedas means principles to live in spirituality. You see, there's a little difference. Both lives are covered, material life, spiritual life, in general. Smriti means you also need stories to understand what is being said. Some examples you need, examples to get us inspired. Okay, yeah, this is what this tapasya, like Dhruv Maharaj, I should do like that. Otherwise, we don't understand anything. Cleanliness, be clean. Everybody's standard is different of cleanliness, no? But okay, Puranas will give you example. This is how you should be clean. If you don't do Achman, if you do Achman while standing, then you will go to hell. Mahabharat. It is said there. One rishi was there. He did Achman. I forgot his name. He did Achman while standing, and he went to the king. He was in hurry, so he went to the king to ask for kundal. His guru told, you go and ask kundal. His queen's kundal. So he just did. He ate something and then he stand up. And oh my God, time is, there was no time anyway. Time is, sun, it's going up. So he just did Achman, he went. And then he told king, I see my guru asked kundal from your queen. This king said, go in the room and ask. He went in the room, there was no queen. And he came, he said, you are bluffing me. You are like, like you are messing up with me. I am Rishi's son. So king said, you're fool. Queen is still there. You did something wrong. Did you do Achman while standing? He said, yes. He said, because of that sin, you can't see my wife because she is Pativrata Stri. Interesting. And then he said, oh, sorry. Then he sat down, he did Achman while sitting. And then he went inside, then he could see the queen. So, this is called cleanliness. Now, we have our own standards, isn't it? But scripture standards are very different. So, this is, it's interesting. This is said in Mahabharata. So you will see all these Madhva people and sannyasis and Sri Vaishnava, they are very strict in this, isn't it? They are very strict because for them the main book is Mahabharata. They follow it nicely. So that's the idea there. The idea is that standards, you need now you understand what is cleanliness, isn't it? Now you know what is Achman. Vedas will say do Achman. Vedas will say do Anganyas Karanyas. Okay, done. But then there are some intricacies there. Those stories are there. Oh my God, you should not do like this. You should not do like this. You should not eat. There's one story in Mahabharata. One person, he was served food by the king. He sat and he was eating prasad. But then he saw the plate and there was bones and meat there. And he told the king, you are fool, you are doing offense, I'll curse you. He cursed him. The king also cursed him. King said, you are number one fool. He said, this is the best food I have given you. This is not bones and meat. So he said, no, they were fighting. King said, you're a fool, you're sitting in wrong direction. If you want to eat food, you should face north. You know that, no? You should face north or east. He was facing southwest. So he could not see the food properly. It was a sin. I don't know, they are small. If you do an experiment now, this is not going to happen. Today you can do an experiment. You can take prasad and sit facing south. You will see prasadam. You will not see bones and meat. But the idea is small intricacies matter. That my idea is not to be so much fanatic like that. What I want to convey is what we think and what scriptures give the standard, they are very different. We have our own idea of some concepts. Satya, Socham, Daya, Satya, Tapa, four pillars of religion. Now, to what are those? How to practice those? To what extent we can go to preserve and actually safeguard these qualities? Examples are given. Harish Chandra, to protect Satya, he abandoned his wife. Am I right? What was his wife's name? Anyway, I forgot his wife, Harish Chandra. He abandoned his son, Rohit. Rohit? His name was Rohit. He died, abandoned his kingdom just for truth. Now we know, okay, on this much level we have to speak truth. So that's the idea. So Shruti, Smriti, Puran. Puran will give stories. Adi. Adi means what? Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Adi. Adi is written. What is Adi for? Adi is for Itihas. Mahabharat, Ramayana. Another corollary books. And then Panch Ratrikim Vidhim Vina. Fourth is deity worship. So all these four, when they combine, then we can understand Hari Bhakti. Otherwise, it's a chaos. And that's why Srila Prabhupada wanted in our ISKCON society Varnashram system. He wanted that, isn't it? What I mean to say. Different people have different opinions, but at least we understand Srila Prabhupada wanted Varnashram system. Why? Because Prabhupada gave a spiritual system to us. He established. And then now he wanted Varnashram system, Dharma, to come. Smriti, Shruti, Smriti, Puran is there, Pancharatrikim Vidhi is there. That Dharma is missing, that part. So Varnashram, then it becomes complete. Everything becomes complete. Then people can practice bhakti peacefully. Otherwise also we can practice, no problem. You can do. People are doing devotion, am I right? But not peacefully. Some people can do who are strong enough and they can go forward. But in a society, we have so many weak people also, isn't it? And we have to help them. Everybody is not strong. We don't expect everybody strong. So that's why we need a good system that everybody can apply devotion peacefully. So this is about Puranas anyway. Now we come to this verse. What I was just commenting on the story, what is happening here. Why this allegorical story is there. In this verse, Narad Muni is commenting about three things. Prajwara, Kalkanya and his soldiers. Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Narad Muni is commenting about death. Now, death has three things. When you're about to die, there are three things. One is Kalkanya, time. Time actually he is comparing time to a woman. Kal Kanya. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, why to woman? Because Prabhupada says the number one thing which destroys a man is sex. It is illicit sex, not dharma viruddho kama asmi. That destroys the man's health, it's his age and everything. That's why time is compared here to a woman. Generally, if you see Mahabharata and Shastras, Kal is compared to a Purush. Kal Purush. Mahakal, isn't it? In general, time is compared as a male, but here time is compared as a female because generally a man spends time with a female or in sexual activities and then he destroys himself. Why? Because the more we indulge in sexual activities outside dharma, not inside dharma, what happens is our mind becomes distracted and we'll not be able to focus on God. That is number one thing. Second thing is the greatest activity, the most dangerous activity which increases our selfishness is sex. And the number one quality which you need to go to God is selflessness. Niswarth. And it is said in Ramayana that even if you do devotion to God and that devotion is tinged with selfishness, Krishna will not accept. What Krishna is looking for in our devotion is selflessness. Just like, for example, I'll give you an example. Now, we are talking about stories. Bharat. The meaning of Bharat in Ramayana is Bhar Haranamiti Bharat. What Bharat did is, it's very unique. People don't talk about Bharat. Ramayana talks about Lakshman, Sita, Hanuman, Sundarkand. Bharat is a very unique character. Shatrughan is even more unique. Nobody talks about Shatrughan. Ramayana is silent about Shatrughan, very less. And more than Shatrughan is his wife. Who is wife of Shatrughan? Urmila. Urmila. There is a big Upanyas written on Urmila, is it? Urmila is Lakshman, no? Shatrughan's wife, who is that? Mandavi. Nobody talks about Mandavi. There is a Upanyas written by one poet on Mandavi. Big book on Mandavi. It's a big book. Now what she did, we have no idea. What Shatrughan did, we have no idea. But if you read Ramayana commentaries, Govind Raju, you know Govind Raju? There are 3 commentaries on Ramayana which are bona fide. Everybody, all Vaishnavas read that. This Govind Raju, he is younger brother of Ramanuja. He wrote this commentary, and he writes about Shatrughan and Mandavi. And what he writes that of all the brothers, Shatrughan's devotion was far superior. Why? Because Shatrughan means, Ghana means to destroy, Ghna, Shatrughna. We don't say Shatrughan, in Hindi we say, but in Sanskrit Shatrughna. Ghna means to destroy, Shatru means enemy. He has destroyed the enemy. Now what kind of enemy he has destroyed? He has destroyed selfishness, which blocks you to go to God. Now what kind of selfishness he destroyed? You see, it is said Shatrughan could have actually gone with Ram. No, he could have easily gone. Bharat was having a responsibility to take care of Ayodhya, isn't it? And in fact, I mean to say, Ram gave his slippers to him, and he took. Bharat was occupied. Shatrughan was free. He could have simply gone with Ram, Lakshman, and he could have, but he didn't go, because Shatrughan thought association of Ram at this time will be sense gratification, will be selfishness. What is required is, at this time what is required is, Bharat needs my assistance. He is alone to manage the entire kingdom. In fact, Bharat cannot even enter Ayodhya. He took a vow, I will not enter Ayodhya. I will stay near Ayodhya in that, what's that village? Nandigram. And from there I will manage. Because he said, well, already people are thinking, I want to capture Ayodhya. So people will talk so many things. So I will not enter Ayodhya. That's all. Finish. So he need assistance. Shatrughan. So Shatrughan thought 2 things. First he thought, which service is greater? God's service or devotee's service? Which is greater? Shatrughan showed by his example, service to devotees is much greater than service to God. He chose devotee, Bharat. But more important point is, he left his selfishness of enjoying Ram's beauty and his association and chose to be away from him in service of Bharat, especially in management. I mean to say, he could have, okay, fine, I'll stay with Bharat, I'll also stay in Nandigram and do my chanting and, reading and stay nicely for 14 years. But he left association of Ram and he directly went into management. Imagine management. Management is nice, but it's problematic, no? I know that. Especially managing non-devotees, so Ayodhya was at that time capital of entire India. Almost. He was like king of entire India, Shatrughan. He was like super busy person. He said, no problem, okay, have to sacrifice. He sacrificed his own spiritual, whatever, preferences, and he sacrificed the association of God. What else does devotee want? Number 1 priority of us is association of God and spiritual practices. He sacrificed both. And that is why he's called as Shatrughna. So it's not that we sacrifice our chanting and reading and temple. It's not that, okay, from today I'll follow Shatrughan. That's not the point. The point is we have to sacrifice our selfishness. That's the whole point. And that is what lust does. Lust increases our selfishness. Which is that verse of Bhagavatam, Pumsam Striya Mithuni Bhava Metat Tayor Mitho Granthima Huya. Gre Sutapta Vittaya, no? It's a famous verse. So that's sexual sex life. That's all. Your desires will increase, your selfishness will increase, and that is why you see entire Bhagavad Gita, first chapter to sixth chapter, the message is be selfless. Karma Yoga. All Dharma Shastras, whatever Dharma you follow, what they are trying to do is they are trying to make you selfless. Danam, householders have to do charity, be selfless. Brahmachari has to do tapasya, or Gurukul service, Gurukul Vasam, be selfless. All training, whatever is going in Dharma is be selfless. And then you can be prepared to serve God. Because if you go to God with selfishness, then you will not be able to advance properly. That's the whole point there. So that's why you see one thing. I'll tell you. Upanishads raise this question. There's a Upanishad, Kathopanishad is there. Nachiketa. And after that story, there's a question there. And the question raised is, why do we die? It's a big question. Why do we die? Now, why God is so cruel to give us death? Which is so painful, Prabhupada says it's so painful. And with death comes disease, old age. Why Krishna is so cruel to give us death? He could have just made us immortal and we could have gone like that. But you can answer this question from many angles, but the answer related to this story is, why we die is, the idea is, death is a mercy of God. It's a mercy of God. And people who are in wisdom, they can see that. One of the poets, Rumi, you know Rumi? Rumi, he says in one of his poems, he's an Islamic poet, Jalaluddin Rumi. And he says to his disciple when he was dying, that when I die and when you lower my body in my grave, they make graves, please don't weep. Because I am not going down, I am going up at that time. I am not dying, I am becoming immortal. So for devotees, death is, they see it as a mercy, but Krishna gives us death. Why he gives us death? He gives us death to actually make us realize the fact. Death is given to us to make us realize the fact that stop. Old age is given to us to help us realize Satogun. Whole youth we are in mode of passion. So Krishna gives us old age, slow down. And automatically people slows down, isn't it? Old age, you have to slow down. You walk nicely and bacha, this is like that. Automatically you come in mode of goodness. And death is given to make you realize that, well, the aim of life is to go even beyond mode of goodness. Go beyond mode of goodness. Die. I am giving you death to make you realize that you have to die. You have to, not just body, you have to get death of me and mine. That's why he's given death. You have to kill your me and mine. You have to die before dying. This is a big famous, in Buddhism, if you go in Buddhist monastery, you go talk to Buddhist, this is a big line they will say, die before dying. So Krishna made death to make you understand, see, your body is going to die. Before your body is going to die, remember you have to kill your me and mine. If you can die before dying, that is life. But that's different. Prahlad Maharaj says the same thing, no? Aham mameti, me and mine, that is selfishness. But to understand what is selfishness, that might require many lives, because we will not even understand what is selfishness. Even having darshan of Krishna might be selfishness. Now you might say, come on, you're crazy. No, Keshav Prabhu is crazy. We don't want to hear his lectures. Get lost. But that might be. Shatrughan is an example of that. Govind Raju writes that. Even taking darshan of Krishna might be sense gratification, selfishness. Might be, not in all cases. It depends. If your service is there, you see Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami wanted to come and meet Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, no, stay. Don't come here. They were planning to come every year in Chaturmasya. Gaudiyas used to come. Mahaprabhu says, you don't need to come. Just stay there, serve me. Even Krishna told gopis, Brahmana's wife. Krishna told Brahmana's wife, you go back. If you are in my association, you will not advance properly. If you are away from my association, you will advance properly. There's a verse in Bhagavatam. So, even association of God can be selfishness. So Rupa Goswami, they were staying in Vrindavan. Okay, no problem. If service is required for this, we will forego the darshan of Krishna. Even like suppose we have darshan of Krishna, you see, what people do when they have darshan, normal people, they just run forward and stand forward, isn't it? What Mahaprabhu was doing? Mahaprabhu was standing behind Garud Stam. Because Mahaprabhu was feeling, well, Krishna will not see me. Why he will see me? I am nothing. Let me stand behind Garud Stam. So Krishna will definitely see Garud, and then might be he might see me. That is called devotion. So you see, it's very difficult to understand what is selfishness. We are not trained from childhood. We have not followed dharma. We have directly come in devotion. And it's fortune, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are here. But now we should understand these concepts nicely. So that is why death is there. Death of body is a reflection of death of selfishness. You got the point? We will die repeatedly again and again, and Krishna will say, telling us, I will give you death again and again, until and unless you don't understand that you have to have a real death of me and mine. If that happens, you die. Even sannyas, when people take sannyas sannyas in Madhva Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, what they do is, I don't know the system of ISKCON, how they do, but at least in those sampradayas, what they do is, when you take sannyas, then what you have to do is, you have to make your own, like some murti you make with atta. You know atta, what they say? Pinned. That, and then you have to burn it. You're actually killing yourself at the time of sannyas. I no longer belong to myself, I belong to God. Symbolically. That is called sannyas. So that is why death is made. So that is why Narad Muni compares. What's the time? Till what time I have to speak? I'm just going out of time or what? Till what time this lecture goes on? 9? Including question answer. Okay. So that is why Narad Muni is talking about death. You got the point? So death is also symbolic to make you remember. Just like this Brahman thread. This Brahman thread, why we are given Brahman thread? Because we are Brahmanas? That's nonsense. Nobody is Brahmana here. We don't have Brahmanical qualities. We are given Brahman thread. One is functional to do deity worship. That is a functional aspect of Brahman thread. But constitutional aspect of Brahman thread, we are given Brahman thread not that because we are Brahmanas, because to make us remember that we should become a Brahmana. Bhakti Sansa Sasi Thakur, in his works, he said that. One devotee came to him and he said, Guru Maharaj, I am a Brahmana, I can do, deity worship. Yeah, I got this. Bhakti said, you are not a Brahmana. I have given you this to make you remember what is Brahmana. When Prabhupada was in Juhu and these devotees were sitting, and you know that, no? That mic got loose. People were finding a thread. So Prabhupada said to Pujari, remove your thread. And he removed his thread and Prabhupada tied with that. Prabhupada said, this is real service of Krishna. So, why we are given brahmachari dress? We are all brahmacharis? Come on, this is nonsense. Nobody of us are brahmachari. We are not brahmacharis. It's a joke if we tell ourselves brahmachari. Our mind are like gone. So we are given this dress to make us remember we have to become brahmachari. Why we are giving sannyas? To make that person remember, Bhaiya, please remain sannyasi your whole life. Don't fall down. So this is all helping us to remember. Similarly, death Krishna gives to make us remember, why I am giving you death to make you remember that you don't have to live your life, you have to die while living. Do that. Death is good. That is a good news, isn't it? Life is difficult. No, death is so easy. You die in one moment. But life you have to live so long, so many problems. Death is a good news. If you die, all problems finish. And then you're free of body, you can fly in air, you can go to universe, have a universe tour something, before you go back to wherever you have to. You can say, hang on, Yamdut, one tour I have to take, it's a long time. I'm stuck up in Hyderabad, let's go to somewhere else. So death is more nice, but we fear death. But with wise people, they get a message from death. That's what Narad Muni is saying, Kal Kanya. Then Narad Muni is saying, Prajwara, fever. Fever, you see, according to Ayurveda, if you see, even today, since Dhanvantri, Ayurveda, even today people are doing PhD on fever. And nobody has understood what is fever. Nobody has understood. You go to all these SDM and all these colleges, Kotikal, people are doing PhD on fever. People are doing PhD on fever since 30, 40 years. And you can't understand what's fever. So fever is, of all diseases, fever is the number one disease. When we die, we get fever. Everybody gets fever when people die. That is why fever is there. Fever is brother of death. Before that, fever is going to come. Why Krishna gives fever? To help us understand, well, there is a material fever there. Prabhupada uses this word, no, material fever. You've got a material fever, fever of sense gratification. And then soldiers, diseases. So all these things Narad Muni says. Narad Muni is saying, well, if you want to save yourself from all these things, surrender to Krishna, understand scriptures nicely, all messages there, get rid of selfishness. Slowly and steadily we have to go forward. Slowly, steadily, attentively, so that we don't slip here and there. Our success in life will be not to attain Golok. Our success in life will be to chant Hare Krishna and be a devotee till our last breath. If you can do that, it's more than enough. But that also a challenge. It will be difficult to do that. Anyway, by Mahaprabhu's and Prabhupada's mercy, it can be possible. I'll end up there. Hare Krishna. Any questions? I'll take questions. There's little time. Anybody wants to ask anything?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very thoughtful and nice class, Prabhuji. My question is, Prabhuji, in the beginning of your class, you were explaining us the importance of how we have to peacefully practice by adopting the Varnashram principles in the life so that we can mentally be peaceful, practice bhakti. And when you gave the example of Shatrughna making the sacrifice and being selfless, you brought out that point of that, like that. So, Prabhuji, generally it appears a little contradictory because when we think about the Varnashram, in the Varnashram person goes according to his psychophysical nature and wants to be in a situation, position where he is physically, mentally, psychologically peaceful. And if anybody asks him to do something different from his nature and then he becomes very disturbed, although that's a requirement of service. On the other hand, in devotional service, we see that the sacrifice and selflessness is too much advised. So, can you please guide us, Prabhuji, how to reconcile this?
In Varnashrama, it's not necessary. A Kshatriya can be selfless, a Brahman can be selfless within his own nature. A Shudra can be selfless. It's not that a Kshatriya has to become a Brahmana. Everybody in every station of life can be completely selfless, and that's what Varnashrama is trying to train. So why we are thinking that only Brahmanas and Sannyasis are completely selfless, Grahasthas are not selfless, or Kshatriyas are not selfless? No. If they follow the codes and conducts of scriptures and follow their duties, they can be completely selfless at their own station of life and attain Krishna. But they have to follow what scripture says. If they do from the mind, then it will not happen. Am I right? And in fact, I mean to say, all the end of all ashrama, all varnas is sannyasa, except Shudras. They'll take sannyasa. Ultimately, Kshatriya and Brahmanas, definitely they go to sannyas.
Because Prabhuji, when this story of Shatrughna, if somebody hears, they will understand that more than sacrifice, it looks like he's just doing his duty because the ultimately the Kshatriya has to manage. Obviously, TK Ram and Lakshman went to forest, and Bharat has to be there, somebody has to do. And I, my nature is anyway the Kshatriya, I can do management. That so it looks more of what's comfortable for me
No,
than as a sacrifice.
that we are thinking like that. No?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm saying that when we see this story, then people think like that.
People might think anything, but that's not the truth. Bharat, Shatrughan, why? I mean, for them, management is service to God. It's not management. Of course, they are Kshatriyas, they can do that. They're trained in that. Kshatriyas are trained in that, so they can do nicely. Brahmanas are not trained in that, so how they can handle this? But the intent was sacrifice of darshan. That's what commentators say. Now, what that person is thinking and intending, we have to see according to commentator. Otherwise, how we will know? That's the whole point. Mike. It's like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, in Grihastha life, is it suggestible to be selfless? Is it possible?
Why? You can be selfless, grastas. I mean to say, you don't have to work for you. You work for your family.
Yes.
In fact, grasta life is designed to make you selfless. By the way, people who are selfish, too much selfish, they are recommended go in grasta life. People who are less selfish, they are recommended directly go to sannyas from brahmacharya. Because he doesn't understand what selflessness, so he said, go to grasta life, your wife will make you selfless. She will make, no problem. You will be forced to do something for them. She will say, okay, take me to shopping. You have to take me. You have your own things, you have to leave and take. So you are becoming selfless, no? Slowly. So that's why Krishna made a wife. To make man selfless. But in a different way, not in a pleasant way, but in a unpleasant way. With wife comes other baggage also. But that's why this whole system is here, grasta life. So when you lead grasta life according to dharma, if we do adharma, then we become more selfish. You see, there's both ways. Grasta life is both poison and both nectar. The holy name also. Holy name is nectar and poison. If you do aparadh, you go to hell. If you do nicely, then you elevate. Isn't everywhere it's like that? So everywhere it's a double-edged sword. So if we do according to dharma, after grasta life, we become prepared for vanpras and sannyas. Am I right? Because the selfishness reduces. That's all. It's like that. Dharma viruddho kamosmi. According to dharma, we have to do. Otherwise we go down. Okay, anybody else want to ask anything? Or we're going to end up there.
Anand, if you want to ask me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Accept no obeisances. I was searching for you today morning, but I couldn't really find you. Okay, so we'll end up there. We'll finish. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.